My name is Patrick Matheson. I'm 38 years old, single, and work as the head librarian in a town so small you'd miss it if you blinked driving past. Pine Hollow, population 1,432, give or take. I don't get out much. My days are steady, predictable. I open the library at 9 a.m., shelve books, help the occasional visitor find something obscure, and close up by 6 p.m. Most nights I make dinner, read a book, and fall asleep before 10. I live alone in a little house 3 blocks from the library. It's nothing fancy, a 2-bedroom bungalow with a leaky faucet in the kitchen and creaky floorboards that I keep meaning to fix. My house smells like coffee and old wood, probably because I drink too much of the former and forget to dust the latter. The only company I have is Rupert, my cat. He's a surly, fat tabby with a knack for knocking over whatever I've left on the edge of the table. He's a handful, but I like the company. People in Pine Hollow are friendly enough, but I wouldn't say I have any close friends. Maybe it's my fault. I'm not exactly a social butterfly. I prefer the quiet. The library feels like a sanctuary to me. There's something comforting about the smell of books and the muffled silence of the place. It's a space where nothing bad happens, where time slows down and the world doesn't feel so loud. Though it's a normal place to work, there's something very strange about this library. I can't quite put my finger on it, but every now and then I'll see something move quickly in the back aisles, or a book will fall from the top shelf and slam with a thud, nearly giving me a heart attack. Explainable things? Maybe, but sometimes I do wonder. Still, some days I can't help but feel like I'm stuck in a loop. Wake up, go to work, go home, repeat. If there's one thing I've learned about small-town life, it's that routine is king. People don't like surprises here. Life just is. Maybe that's why I like old books so much. They hold pieces of lives that were far more interesting than mine. Kings, explorers, murderers, lovers, all wrapped up in dusty pages. When I find something unique in the library's back room or at estate sales, it's like discovering a secret. I'll spend hours thumbing through ancient texts, trying to imagine what it must have been like to live in a different time, a different place. The back room of the library is where we keep the books that don't make it to the shelves. Outdated encyclopedias, forgotten manuscripts, or donations nobody wants. It's my favorite place in the building. Rows of sagging shelves are crammed with volumes that haven't seen the light of day in decades. The air is thick with the smell of mildew and paper. Sometimes when the library's empty, I'll sneak back there to dig around, hoping to find a hidden gem. Sometimes I'll find strange books, dark books that give me a chill. I remember the day Mr. Grayson, my boss, stopped by my desk. He was a wiry man in his 60s with thick glasses and a voice like a rusty hinge. He wasn't one for small talk, which made it all the stranger when he dropped a folded piece of paper on my desk and cleared his throat. "Rules," he said, tapping the paper with a bony finger. "If you're going to keep working here, you'd better follow these to the letter." I unfolded the paper, my brow furrowing as I read. The first 4 rules were peculiar, though mostly harmless. Always feed the goldfish before closing. If the lights go out, close your eyes until they come back on. They always do. Never touch the 3rd book on the 2nd shelf in the back room. Don't let anyone check out a book without a barcode. But it was the 5th rule that made my stomach twist, though I couldn't say why. 5. Always tell the truth. It might just save your life. I looked up, half expecting him to laugh and say it was a joke, but he just stared at me, his expression as unreadable as ever. Then he turned and walked away, leaving me alone with the note and a creeping sense of unease. It was on a cold December afternoon when I found it. It had been snowing all morning, and the library was practically deserted. The only visitor I'd had was old Mrs. Hargrove, who returned 3 romances with dog-eared pages and a lecture about how kids these days don't appreciate good literature. By noon, I decided to spend some time in the back room. I told myself I was organizing the shelves, but really I was just bored. That's when I saw the book. It was wedged between 2 crumbling atlases on a shelf I'd never bothered with before. The cover caught my attention right away. It was dark brown, almost black, and looked like leather, but not the kind you'd find on a fancy journal or a new wallet. This leather was uneven, rough, like it had been stretched over the cover by hand. There was no title, just a small clasp keeping it shut. I don't know why, but touching it made my skin crawl. The leather felt warm, almost like it was